Former Avon and Somerset Police Constable Jonathan Biggins, who resigned from the force prior to a misconduct hearing, has now been added to the College of Policing's barred list. I will say I find myself in a bit of a conflict over this report, and I will explain to you why in a moment. Biggins' misconduct hearing found that had he not already resigned, he would have been dismissed, as they added him to the barred list after he was found guilty of breaching the professional standards, in that between September 2019 and October 2020 he approached a number of members of the public in the street to carry out stop and searches for drugs. When he found drugs, he offered to give it back to them in exchange for information about drug dealers. An investigation was initiated after two of his colleagues raised concerns over his actions with a supervisor, who then forwarded the complaint to the Professional Standards Department. This investigation led to his misconduct hearing and subsequent dismissal. Now, where I'm conflicted here is that, depending on the drug, I don't see this as being a particularly serious offence. Throughout history, this is one way or another to gather intelligence, and it's been used as a method by law enforcement throughout the ages. And some extreme examples, people have been allowed to live in exchange for information when they should have died. So, excuse me. So I don't necessarily see this as a massive issue. I'm not a drug user, so I don't have the same point of views as some other people, but I do believe that if it's natural, then it's fair game. I've spoken before about how I disagree with chemically enhanced products, but natural products should be all right. Weed, for example, grows naturally, and rather than making it an offence to be in possession of it, simply regulate its use, such as how alcohol is regulated in the fact that you can't drive with X amount in your system. I mean, weed, as far as I know, kills very few people worldwide, whereas poisonous plants probably kill far more, and yet they're not illegal to grow or own. Although there are some caveats. In fact, in some cultures, using poisonous plants and taking a small dose is used as a high, so I personally don't see much difference, or at least I see poisonous plants as being worse than weed. Granted, crime does follow some drugs. That's generally because it's more expensive as an illicit substance, and the growing of it itself is a crime. Whereas if weed was legalised properly and the use of it was monitored, such as I mentioned before with the limit in your system before driving, then I think that crime surrounding that particular drug would drop. So, in this instance, I don't necessarily think, on the face of it, that Biggins has done anything that warrants dismissal. Now, of course, if his stop and searches were unlawful, then that's a different matter altogether, and for that he would deserve to be sacked. But I haven't got that from the information that I've seen. Superintendent Mark Edgington, head of professional standards, said these were very serious allegations against his former officer, who, from the evidence provided at the hearing, clearly did not follow the proper procedures or policies when carrying out these stop searches. Stop and search is a valuable tool in our fight against illegal drugs, which cause harm and damage in our communities, and unfortunately PC Biggins' actions will have undermined the use of this power in the eyes of the public. We actively encourage our staff to report any concerns or information about potential misconduct, unprofessional behaviour or integrity issues, and we have a range of reporting methods in place, including a confidential and anonymous reporting line. Now, personally, I think the people he came into contact with, providing he didn't abuse his powers to search them, likely helped with gaining some respect from the public, rather than the majority of plod who we see day in and day out on here, whose actions destroy the faith and trust we have in the police. It's a bit of a weird one for me, this. I mean, but what do you think? Do you think that he should have lost his job over giving back a bit of weed for some information? Do you think it was overly harsh? To be fair, he probably got given false information anyway, but I can't see it being anything more than a bit of weed that he handed back, as it's unlikely he's going to be giving back half a key of Charlie if he finds it.